Namibia lies in southwest Africa. The Namib Desert stretches for almost 2,000 kilometers along the coast. To the north, the desert is crisscrossed by several dry river valleys. One of them is the Huanib Valley. It runs through the desert for several hundred kilometers and ends in the sea. Water flows here once, at most twice a year. Only deep-rooted plants like anna trees can survive here. Only here, within the valley, can mammals exist in the long term. It is the home of the desert elephants. In contrast to their other African relatives, desert elephants live in particularly small family groups. They are so rare and their way of life is so special that they're under the constant supervision of scientists who've also given the elephants names. The head of this family is alpha cow Clarissa. The animals don't leave her side for a moment. Only Clarissa knows how to survive in this extreme environment. The shoots of the anna tree are now ripe. The pods contain protein-rich seeds. Clarissa has known every one of these trees since her childhood. Even the youngest, Maya, tries the shoots. Here, however, experienced trunk tip control is required. It's easier for her to get the protein she needs from her mother's milk. Desert elephants only have half the number of calves as other elephants. The male animals stay with their mother's family until they reach sexual maturity. With mock fights, they prepare for life without the protection of the females. Adult bull elephants are loners or travel in small groups. Jappy is the most skillful of them. His younger brother watches enviously as Jappy brings down apparently unreachable branches from the tree. In the valley, Jappy is well known for such tricks. He learned them from his father. Friendship among bull elephants has its limits. Jappy is certainly not willing to share his branch with his younger brother. Their father, One Tusk, is now nearly 60 years old. His trademark is the missing right tusk, lost long ago in a hierarchical battle. For years, he was the undisputed king of the Huanib. Now he lives in seclusion. One Tusk's legs are weak. He can no longer keep up. The aging bull is already being watched by a male jackal, which lives in the Huanib Valley with its partner. Jackals mostly hunt smaller animals, but they wouldn't turn their noses up at a dead elephant. In a side valley, Clarissa has discovered a further source of food. There's a wide selection of bushes, grasses, and herbs. The elephant's climbing skills far surpass those of their savanna-dwelling relatives. This, too, is a form of adaptation to their special habitat. Old One Tusk has at last reached one of the anna trees in the Huanib Valley. But Clarissa and co. haven't left very much for him to eat. He desperately searches for something edible in the remnants. In vain. For the inhabitants of the Namib, survival is hard. They're used to going for long periods without water. Many get liquid from their food or know secret sources of water. Regardless of size, every green leaf contains a minimum of liquid worth harvesting. Outside the dry river valleys, there is scarcely any vegetation. Here, only extreme specialists survive. The Namib desert beetle is no bigger than a fingernail. As all animals, it depends on water for survival and has developed a special strategy. Even the tiniest traces of dampness in the air condense on its carapace. In time, a drop forms, which then flows directly into the beetle's mouth. This way of life limits the distribution of desert beetles to those parts of the desert that see fog. But where does the fog come from? The Namib is one of the few deserts in the world that stretch to the sea. The cold Benguela current from the Antarctic cools the seawater to a temperature of 12 degrees Celsius. When the water reaches land, it evaporates in the warm desert air. Around 200 days a year, the desert is wreathed in mist, which sometimes extends hundreds of kilometers inland into the dry river valleys. The Benguela current doesn't only bring fog, it's also rich in fish. The animals that benefit most are the brown fur seals. Their colonies are often home to 100,000 animals. Right now, there's good reason for so many seals to congregate here. The mating season is just beginning. Everywhere, bulls are fighting for the right to mate. The strongest conquer a whole harem and then have their flippers full. After mating, the males disappear into the sea, They're not involved in bringing up the young. The fog sometimes penetrates as far as the Huaníp Valley. Now, even the biggest animals benefit from the moisture contained in the fog. Jappy and his brother can take on a lot of liquid from the drops of dew on the plants they eat. This allows the elephants to go without water for up to 4 days at a time. The pair are still on the move together. This will soon change. As the fog lifts, the sun illuminates a very special event. Families of elephants from other dry river valleys are on their way to the Huaníp Valley. They're following the calls of their relatives, which they pick up via the soles of their feet, as via a stethoscope. More and more elephants join Clarissa's family. Some of the animals haven't seen each other for years and exchange affectionate greetings. Jappy and his brother are also aware of the arrival of the females. When it comes to attracting a cow, in a flash, companions become rivals. Once upon a time, One Tusk was also aroused by all the excitement. Today, it no longer has any significance for him. He wouldn't be able to deal with confrontations with other bulls. His sons and grandsons, on the other hand, are very excited. For them, it's important to make the most of the female's willingness to mate and prevent others from taking advantage. In the end, however, Jappy only manages to achieve his goal by means of a trick. He abducts the alpha cow, Clarissa. While many of the inhabitants of the valley spend the night hours asleep, this is the time of the real desert dwellers. The Namib sand gecko is only active at night. In the darkness, the little predator looks for crickets and spiders. Like a frog's, its toes are webbed. This enables the lizard to seemingly fly across the dunes without sinking into the sand. But it also needs to be on the lookout. A sidewinding adder. Similar to desert elephants, beetles, and geckos, the snake has a hard life in the Namib. It has to hunt successfully to survive. Once it finds a good spot for an ambush, it goes to ground. The snake is a predator that lies in wait for its prey, relying completely on its camouflage. completely on its camouflage. For the sensitive gecko, it's time to go. In the sun, it would quickly dehydrate. Here, too, webbed feet come in handy. The lizard uses its legs as scoops to quickly dig out astonishing underground passages. Wait for its prey, relying completely on its camouflage. It can make tunnels 1 meter long. For the sensitive gecko, it's time to go. In the sun, it would quickly dehydrate. Here, too, webbed feet come in handy. The lizard uses its legs as scoops to quickly dig out astonishing underground passages. Up at ground level, another gecko isn't in quite such a hurry. It can make tunnels 1 meter long to the ground. Gecko, it's time to go. The fog is coming. Quickly dehydrate. Here too, webbed feet come in handy. The lizard uses its legs as scoops to quickly dig out. The lizard's large, mirror-like eye surfaces allow the fog to condense here. In quite such a hurry. At last, water. To the ground. Gecko, it's time to go. The fog is coming. Quickly dehydrate. Here too, webbed feet come in handy. The lizard uses its legs as scoop here. The lizard's large, mirror-like eye surfaces allow the fog to condense here. Quite such a hurry. At last, water. The waiting paid off. This morning, the side-winding adder can have breakfast and get some liquid into the bargain. The Namibian winter is coming to an end, and with it, the mild climate brought by the farmer. The waiting paid relentless heat descends. This morning, the side-winding adder can have breakfast and get 40 degrees Celsius in the shade. This is approaching the limit for even Clarissa's family. The Namibian winter is coming to an end. The mild climate. Elephants don't sweat, and so protect themselves against overheating by fanning their ears. But it seems too hot even for that. 40 degrees Celsius in the shade. The heat is hard to bear for all the animals, but for the youngest, the sun can be lethal. Maya is really suffering. Elephants don't sweat, and so protect themselves against overheating by fanning their ears. One Tusk mobilizes all his efforts for one last attempt at an anna tree. But he no longer has the strength. Maya is really suffering. Exhausted, he withdraws to the shade. During his long life, his legs have carried him more than 400,000 kilometers. As with most bull elephants, the last few steps he will take alone. Exhausted, he withdraws to the shade. Despite the heat, Clarissa can't afford to take a break. She urges her family to move on. More than 400,000. Desert elephants have to spend up to 20 hours a day eating 200 kilos of plant material. Most bull elephants, the last few steps he will take alone. As tiring as that may be, Clarissa's family have no choice. Clarissa can't afford to take a break. She urges her family to move. One young bull is already so exhausted that he sleeps through the signal to move 20 hours a day, eating 200 kilos of plant. He only wakes up when the other elephants are already out of sight. As tiring as that may be, Clarissa's family have no choice. Clarissa can't afford to take a break. She urges her family.
This show was created for you and your family to watch together. Welcome to Nat Geo Wild.
He only wakes up when the other elephants are. It finally dawns on him that he really is all alone. As tiring as that may be, Clarissa and the rest of the family have noticed his absence. The animals try to locate each other via smell using their trunks, which are extraordinarily
Welcome
sensitive.
to Nat Geo Wild.
He only wakes up when the other elephants. It finally dawns on him but he really is all alone. Clarissa and the rest of the family have noticed. In the end, it's Maya who gives the decisive call. Try to locate each other's smell using their trunks. The Namib Desert. Now the straggler knows which way to go. Kilometers along the coast. The extremely dry period shows no sign of coming to an end. In the end, it's Maya. 1 week later, the heat and the elephants have combined to decimate the plant life. Now the straggler knows which way to go. Vultures take up positions on the trees on the edge of the valley. The extremely dry their time will come when the other animals will find nothing more to eat twice a year. In the end, it's Maya. 1 week later, only the heat and the elephants are combined. For Clarissa's family, a dead tree now becomes the sole source of food. Within the valley, can mammals exist? In the desert, a tree of this size takes years to break down. It is the home, their time, and it's the elephants that turn it into food again for the other animals. In contrast, they themselves only use 60% of what they eat. The rest excrete undigested. In this way, they distribute seeds like those of the anna tree that they're under break down. Some animals, like the helmeted guinea fowl, take the majority of their food from what the elephants deposit. In times of scarcity, even the Huang Valley baboon look for something edible. The animals start for a moment. In this way, they distribute seeds like those of the anna. Old One Tusk has one more go of the wood. Take the majority of the food the anna tree on their right. In times of scarcity, but elephant molars only grow back 6 times to contain the protein-rich seed. One Tusk's teeth are worn out, and his attempt to eat wood the way he used to is doomed to failure. Clarissa has known every one of these One Tusks like just one more go. In other parts of Africa, older elephants seek out swamps where they can live for a while longer on softer leaves. Here, there is no such possibility. It's easy for her to get the protein he used to. For Clarissa, too, the situation is becoming threatening. In other parts of Africa, older elephants, she and her family must leave the valley and seek food sector elsewhere. Without protection. Other families join the trek. Adult bull elephants alone. Only Clarissa's knowledge of hidden water sources can save her now from this becoming threat. She and her family must leave the valley. His younger brother watches enviously as Jackal brings down. Scarcely any animals are left in the valley. Even the jackals are leaving. In their search for food, they will move along the Huang Valley until they reach the coast. Only One Tusk is too old and too tired to trek. The one thing that would save him now is rain that would let soft grass grow. With this slim hope, he remains behind. Their father, One Tusk, is now nearly 60 years old. The Namib Desert beetle is also deciding to eat. The one thing that would save him. In contrast to most of the desert dwellers, it is not seeking fresh young shoots. The beetle is on the lookout for plant residues. The unceasing wind is a help. One Tusk's legs are weak. It sweeps fragments of plant life together in valleys and hollows between dunes. Mostly it's just a few bits of leaf the desert dwellers, but sometimes it collects, becomes something like purple rubbish dump. Although the plants are completely dried out, they still contain important nutrients. It sweeps fragments of plant life together in valleys and hollows between dunes. In a side valley, mostly it's just a few bits of leaf. But sometimes there's a wide selection. becomes something like herbs. Although the plants are completely dried out, they still contain important nutrients. The Namaqua chameleon is one of the most dangerous hunters in the Namib Desert. For desert patients, anyway. But the beetles don't usually make it quite so easy. One tusk has at last reached one of the anno trees in the Huani Valley. But the Namaqua chameleon haven't left as one of the most dangerous hunters in the Namib Desert. The beetles aren't only full of protein, but also provide essential liquids for the lizards. But the beetles don't usually make it quite so easy. Namaqua chameleons are the biggest reptiles the Namib can support. In contrast to the mammals, they can't undertake long migrations to look for food and water. Many get liquid from their food. Similar to the Huani, a river once flowed here. Along its banks, animals like chameleons penetrated deep into the desert. Hundreds of years ago, the dunes slowly invaded the riverbed and cut off the water supply. Similar to the Huani, this process was so slow, however, that the animals had time to adapt to the new conditions. Hundreds of years ago, the dunes slowly invaded the riverbed and cut off the water supply. The mammals didn't need such a long period of adaptation. Their ability to migrate over long distances enables them to conquer the desert much more quickly. The pair of jackals will soon reach the coast. The tiniest traces of dampness in the air condensed. Clarissa, meanwhile, is still searching for water. Little Maya is already exhausted. This way enables limited contribution to those parts of the desert. The pair of jackals will soon reach. The group has to keep stopping the air. The animals are reaching the limits of their strength. Clarissa, meanwhile, is still. Clarissa can produce less and less milk for her daughter. Suddenly, a commotion as Maya sinks to her knees. When the water reaches land, it is the group that has to keep it up. But Clarissa urges her offspring onwards. It is their only chance through the desert living in the mystery, which sometimes extends hundreds of kilometers to land less and less milk for her daughters. Suddenly, a commotion as Maya. As dusk falls, they finally arrive. Clarissa urges her offspring onwards. It is their only chance. Thanks to Clarissa's knowledge, there's something to drink at last. Adult elephants can get by on 100 liters of water a day. As dusk falls, they finally arrive. The subsequent dust bath serves to protect the elephant's skin from the relentless sun. Their colonies are often growing to 100,000 animals. Adult elephants. The trek to the next source of food is long. The following morning, Clarissa will move on. Right now, there's good reason for so the subsequent dust bath serves to protect the elephant's skin. The mating cycle is just beginning. The jackals have finally reached the sea and move southwards along the coast. Everywhere, bulls are fighting following morning to mate. The new generation of brown fur seals is just arriving. Many of the mother animals are heavily pregnant. This young mother hasn't long to go. The jackals have finally reached the sea. Southwards. The new generation of brown fur seals is just arriving. Many of the mother animals are heavily pregnant. The strongest, this young one hasn't long to go. The The mother adds her offspring into the world. Each voice and scent is as unique as a fingerprint. The ritual creates an unbreakable bond between mother and pup. Directly after the birth, the pup has to be suckled. The mother adds her offspring into the world. Each voice and the newborn is as unique as a fingerprint. The ritual creates an unbreakable bond between mother and pup. Directly after the birth, the pup has to be suckled. The young mother is not alone. Tens of thousands of other females have also given birth. Space is at a premium in the colony, a risky situation for the babies. To minimize the danger, the seals organize a kindergarten. The young mother is not alone. Families, tens of thousands, many of the mother animals leave their newly born pups here. Space is at a premium in the colony, a risky situation for babies and relatives, which they pick up from the soil. The nursery not only offers the young pups protection, but also makes it easier to find them later. More and more elephants. To minimize the danger, the seals organize a kindergarten. The young mother is not alone. The mother seals have to go out hunting every day to make sure their milk is nutritious enough for the young. Jackie and his brother are also but when choosing the location of the kindergarten, they forgot about putting a cow in a flat and has become alive. Once upon a time, the pups fight desperately against the onslaught of the waves. Today, the baby is washed out to sea, along with the other newborn seals. You wouldn't be able to deal with confrontation when choosing the location of the kindergarten. They forgot to The seal pups can swim, but they don't have the protective layer of fat adult animals. For them, it's important to make the most of the pups will fight away survival and prevent others of taking it washed out to sea. Another is slowly but surely losing the muscle gold Within a few minutes, the pups are so exhausted that they can no longer keep their heads above water and drown. But they don't have the particular